Hello boys and girls, I am the Guide Knight and this is part 4 of my Breakout tutorial. In the last round we learned how to make the bow speed configurable, the player speed configurable as well, and also how to make sure that when the bow gets out of bounds we have a game over basically and we start anew. And in this tutorial, this part, I'm going to show you how to make the player size configurable as well. So what I mean by that is, let me open my player container. I can, for instance, just select the player right now and then resize it, right? This is the rescale and I can make it big, right? And I can save. There we go, guys. This is the end of this section. It works great. Not really, because I don't know what's going on. Some weird stuff with the shape and whatnot. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna do a tile map and make sure that we can have basically tiles that are in the middle. They are prolonging the player, and the left and right tiles are always there. So in order for us to do that, first of all, I'm going to create a new scene. Let's create a new scene, and basically let's make it for tilemap. I don't think it basically is having any requirements, but let's call it player tiles. And then basically we'll create, well, let's just go with sprite, right? I think you can use a static body as well, but for now let's go with sprite. And for this we will go to assets and sprites, and then we have this player tilemap PNG. We're gonna go and drag it to the texture. We need to re-import that with the filter off, and the 2D pixel. I don't know. Re-import it. Yep, there we go. It's no longer blurred. But you notice something, right? First of all, I'm gonna get rid of the centered because I'd like it to be under the line. And also, you notice that if it's like, let's call it left part. Left part. For the left part, we have a single image and we only need the left part. So how we can fix that is go to region, enable the region, and then it's gone, right? But you can actually click on the texture region. You can zoom in with the scroll bar, and then you can use the middle mouse button to actually pan around. Then you can enable grid snap, and I think make it 8 by 8. Let me check if 8 by 8 is okay. And then you can, maybe it's not okay, 16 by 16. That is really weird. This should be actually, I think 32. Let me check that. Yeah, okay. So 16 by 16 is okay, but the problem was the step size. So it goes 8 by 8 step size, and you offset, you can go 16 by 16. And then you drag and drop and select only this part of the player. Like, you don't select more, you select only the left part. Click enter, and then we can add static body 2D as a child to this sprite. So basically we add a static body 2D, and then we need a collision shape, right? You go to add collision shape, but instead of collision shape, we're actually going to go with collision polygon on this one. And we are going to draw ourselves a collision polygon, guys. So make sure that the select mode is enabled, and then probably there are like better ways to do it, but how I just click and draw the line roughly around the player as best as I can. This can be done like that, for instance. Or you can also enable grid snap, which would make it a little bit more precise, I think. let me try that. So basically now it's snapping, right? And I can make the grid step a little bit smaller for me to be able to snap to the location I would like to snap, right? So let's say let's try to keep it symmetrical, right? So basically it's 3 to the left, then 2 to the left and 1 down, then 1 left and 2 down, then 2 down, then 2 down and 1 right, and then basically 1 down, 2 right, and then 3 right. This should be the same for you as well. And then we have defined our polygon. Let me go to the left part and then basically click the make sure the object's children are not selectable. And then I will right click and duplicate it and call it right part. So in order for this to actually work, I need to move it away, away from the left part. And I can actually go to the properties somewhere. I'm not sure if I can, I will need to flip it horizontally. So basically flip it horizontally. Just now I flipped the sprite. So I'll deselect this thing that enables me to actually select the children. And I need to also flip horizontally the shape, right? I'm not sure if it has a horizontal flip thingy, but what you can do is, I think you can apply some rotation, right? If I rotate it 180 degrees to be somewhere there, but I can drag and drop it here, so it's fine. And for the middle part, I will create a new one, new sprite. Basically, just create it middle, call it middle part. And I'll move it in the middle, just for the sake of it. And for this, I will also use the same tile map, because I'm using the same tile map for all of them. Remove the centered offset, and then go to region, enabled, go to texture region, and then I will simply like select this region, right? I'll select the middle region, and actually on the right part, I can, I don't need to flip the, I didn't need to flip the horizontally the thingy, the sprite. I could have just selected that part, or you can just flip it. It works both ways. So, all right. So now, right, let's move the middle part here, and I'll need to create a static body, 2D, and then a collision shape this time. I'm going to use collision shape 2D because it's a simple rectangle going on the right to the inspector shape, a new rectangle shape. Then I'm going to move it here, and then basically make sure I have the select tool, and then resize. So then I think I'm also gonna make sure that I don't click the children, like I don't accidentally click and move the children. So I think this is it for our player. So let's save it now under maybe tile sets, because it's a, well, it's a tile, right? It's still player, but tile set nevertheless. Save it as scene, and then also go to scene, convert to tile set, and then save the actual tile set in their tile sets. So player tiles trace, and then we can actually use that. So we're going to use to go to our player and remove the player entirely, and also remove the collision shape, because we're going to use the collision shape of the tile sets. And for this to work, I will add a tile map here. Let's say player map. Rename it to player map, and in the tile set I will open the tile set I just created. So it's under tile sets, should be the player tiles we just created, and then I will drag it to the tile set property in the inspector. I see the tiles here already, and I also see that the cell size is too big. I will change it to 32 by 32, because otherwise with 64 by 64 I cannot really add it properly, right? It's a bit weird. So 32 by 32, and I will make it, no, actually I think it's 32 by 24, right? 32 by 24, like the X dimension is 24 and the Y dimension is 32. So if I save it right now and start the game, you see that I have my player, right? It's very small, but still there. And also it is a little bit below the ground, which is weird. So let me go to our world and basically move our player a little bit up. And then I start again. Yep, it is there. It is working. It is very, very small. So what do we need to, how can we do it, make it bigger? We can actually, of course, drag a really big player, start again, and then there we go. Voila. This is done, guys. Thanks for watching the tutorial. And also I can move through walls. This is, it's really amazing, but kind of scary, right? I don't want to be able to move through walls, and also I would like to make the player dynamic. So the fix of one of the problems, namely moving through walls, is really, really simple. You just need to know about it. So basically you click on the player map here, and on the right side in the inspector tab, you see the collision checkbox. No? You click on use parent, like on the collision, there should be a use parent checkbox. Click on it, then save, run the game, and you can actually now collide with the walls and with the ball as well, which is what we want, right? So about making the player length dynamic, this is a little bit trickier. For this, we'll actually remove all of the created tiles of our player by right-clicking. While in the player map, I right-click, this means erase, left-click means paste, and create, and right-click means erase. We're erasing everything. And in our player, we're gonna go and open the player script, right? We're gonna go and open the player script. And here we are going to go, and under the export variable, we're gonna go with onReady variable, and then we're gonna get the player map, right? Player map. This is the player tile map, and we can get it like two ways, like player map with $, or we can use get node and then player map, right? I'm gonna go with the second one because I think it's the advanced option, but sometimes I prefer the other option. Never mind. So what can we do with the player map, right? Let's go and search for help and like go to tilemap and see what properties they are. There's like the cell size, cell quadrant, cell blah blah blah. What we actually need to do, right? We need to create the cells ourselves, and create a left cell, then create a random number or a variable number of the middle cells, then create a right cell. So we basically have three different types of cells, and we would like to create them dynamically inside the script. So we're looking here for something that will help us like that. Maybe the set cell option is something we need. Let me click here and look what it says. Set the tile index of the given cell by vector 2. Yeah, so basically we have the set cell here, and it has a X and Y coordinate and a tile. So let me just try to use this to create a tile of the type inside the X and Y coordinate. So I'm gonna go to our player script again, and just in the ready function, just for testing, right? I'm gonna create like player map set cell, and let's say I would like it to be at the first coordinate, like the 0 0, and then also like it to use the 0th cell, like the left cell. Then I would like to create at X is 1 and the Y is 0. So I don't want to move it vertically. I only want to move it horizontally. And then basically use the second tile, which is indexed by 1. In programming, the first index is always 0, the second is 1, the third is 2. So we are basically trying to recreate our manually created player by just adding it coordinate by coordinate manually. So let's start and see if we actually have it. All right, it seems it actually works. I will try to make it one larger. So basically the middle point, now we have two cells of type 1 at position x1 and 2. And then we have a longer player. Look, this is how it works. Let me try to maybe make it a little bit clearer and explain it in Paint. So basically we have like, let's say this is cell 1. How can I copy it? And anyhow, this is the second cell, and this is like the third cell. This is like x equals 0. X equals 0. And of course, well, let me just write it down. X equals 0, equals 1, and equals 2, right? This is x for all those. And here in the other direction, it goes y equals 1 and x equals 0. Here y is equal to 0 as well. And basically x increases in that direction. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that y increases in that direction and not in the other one. But don't take me on my word. Anyhow, what we would like to have is like we have like the 3 tiles, right? This is our 0th tile. This is like the middle rectangle tile. It is 1. I'm sorry, I am very bad at writing with the mouse in Paint, but still. And this is like the second tile. What we were basically saying previously is like at position 0, 0, so here, we use the 0th tile, like 0, 0, and then we assign this here. And at position 0, 1, we use the first tile. At position 0, 2, we use the second tile, right? And in position 0, 2, if we use the first tile as when again, then this will mean that this tile will be a middle tile and not a right tile. So this probably makes no sense, but if it does, I'm glad. All right, so let's now make this variable, right? Let's get rid of this ready thingy, or no, let's keep the ready function, but instead create another function called build player, and this will accept cell just a length function, right? A length variable. So this means how many cells will our player be long, and let's call it first with build player. Let's say we would like it to be 4 cells long, right? What we can do is we can make sure that the length is never less or equal than 2. We can use an assert function. It's very useful sometimes. We can assert that the length is greater or equal to 2, and then we can actually write an error, like error, you must use length of at least 2 cells. So basically, if we now try to run it with 1, we can actually see the error. Let's see what's happening. The method build pair isn't declared. Pulled. Okay. So if I actually run it right now, what is saying? The method assert isn't declared in the current class. Assert. Of course, typing is hard, guys. Don't do it. I'm just kidding. So if I actually run it right now, it's not. I don't have a player because I actually didn't create it. But if I run it with 1, I will see the assertion failing. You must use length of at least 2 cells. All right, so let's try to create our player, right? We know that we have a length at least of 2. So what we can do is we can say, okay, our player map, we can already set the cell. The first cell is clear, right? It's 0, 0, 0. So this is the left cell. But we will also like to increment the x variable so that depending on the length, we know which x we are setting. So we're going to create a variable called current cell x, and it's going to start with 0. And this current cell x is gonna keep track of where we are at our x coordinate for the cell. Then we're gonna use a for loop. A for loop is basically something that iterates over several variables, and I'm gonna use for e in range 1 to length minus 1. And then we can say, okay, current cell x is equal current cell x plus 1. So basically we iterate with 1, or we can just say use a shorthand version of just writing plus equal 1. So this means that add 1 to the current value of the current cell x. And then we can also use player map set cell. And then we're gonna still use the current cell x. This is our current coordinate of the x value. Y is always 0. And then we're gonna say, all right, we would like the first cell to be of type left. Like 0 is left. Like let me write it here. Like 0 is left cell. 1 is middle cell. And 2 is basically right cell, right? Not right cell, but right part. Okay, let me change it to part. And then this means that we have the left part here. I can even like make it a variable, right? Var left part equals 0. And then I can make the other two like middle and right. It is easier to use names compared to simply magic numbers. That's what they're called, because sometimes you don't know what the magic number means. And right now I see that at cell position x and y 0, I'll use the middle part. And in the end, I just need to simply like set the right part, right? But I also need to increment the cell x. So let me see first if it works, and then we're gonna go through the script a little bit. So I run it, and I have a player of a length 4. If I actually want to have a player of length 10, then I can run it again, and I have a very large player, right? A very long player. This means it works. Another trick before I explain you what this script exactly does is I would like to make the length of the player length exported. So let's keep it 7 at default. Basically export variable player length, and then in the build player you replace the number with the player length. And in the world here, now if you click on player, you see the player length. If I can make it like 4. Let's now it's defined by me in this inspector tab. I can change the player length very easily, and in the future we'll be able to change it also inside the game. So before we continue, we conclude with this lesson, let me just go briefly over this method again. If you understood what it does, you can just complete the lesson now, and we'll see each other next time. So basically what it does, it says, okay, this is my current cell x, like the position x as defined previously, also explained in Paint, is like 0. It's always 0, and in this point we just call it with 0, 0, 0. So this means that I initialize the left part at position 0, 0. Then I start at position 1. Basically this will go to 1 until length minus 1. Let's see if length is like 4. If length is like 4, this would mean that first initialize at 0, 0, 0, right? And then this for function will mean that from 1 to length minus 1 to 3, so basically like 1 and 2, right? Because it is actually excluding the right part. So it will not go to 4. It will not go to 3, right? It will just say, okay, this is 1, then I have 2. So this for loop will run for 1 and 2. And then we'll increase the cell x. So at first, it will, when it is running with 1, this is still 0. So it will add 1 to 0. It will become 1. And y is not changing. And the middle part is the tile 1. So this is what is gonna initialize it and or set the cell. And then then it is going to end the loop and start again from the loop. And this time it will not be a 1, it will be basically 2, because it already is incrementing the e. The e is basically integer or a number or whatever, and we're not using it right now. We could actually use it for the cell position, but I prefer to have it like that. It's a bit more consistent all over the place. And basically it's incrementing the e, so it will run it for the second time. And the second time the cell position of x is already 1 because we added it, incremented it once. We add 1 to 1 and it becomes a 2. So at position x2 we will add the middle part again. So this is 1, right? And this will conclude this loop. And in the end we will add 1 more to x, so it will become 3. And then we will use the right part, which is 2. So this is basically what it does. If you have like a longer length, this middle part will run for more iterations. I hope this makes it clear. If not, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. You can ask me questions in the comments if you'd like. And this is it for this part. It was a little bit longer than the last 2 parts, but I hope you still enjoyed it. And now we have a variable size player that we can move around. And next time we're going to probably deal with making sure the ball actually changes direction depending on where it hits the player on the player tile. So stay safe, guys, stay cool, and thank you for watching. If you like the video, you can also like the video in YouTube and subscribe. That would be great. I really would appreciate that. And also I appreciate all your comments if you have any and questions. So take care, guys. Bye bye.